Welcome to another day on Your Image, your public relations program, the one that mirrors the society. We're interested in growing this nation. We're interested in developing the human capacity. We're interested in engineering peace and national unity. Today, we are continuing with our topic, curbing indiscipline in schools in Nigeria. And of course, by extension, we are looking at issues of crime, cultism, and other related issues, vices that is bedeviling our nation. Today, I also have in my midst, once again, Professor Segun Oshinowo, a distinguished professor and a CEO, Sophie Academic Services. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you around again this week.
Thank you.
We also have in our midst Femi Dukumu. He's also a distinguished PR practitioner, a man with great details too, a man of impeccable character and a large heart. We thank you for being with us once again this week. Femi, you're welcome.
It's my pleasure being here this week again. Thank you very much for having me.
To view the security issues that surrounds curbing indiscipline in schools, we now have Commandant Ige Folayinka. He is the Commandant, National School Crime Prevention Corps. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
I'm going to start with you. When you look at the issue we've been discussing, your corps, how has it helped in preventing crimes in all these schools that we are talking about?
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And I'm very glad to be at this program and for being invited for this program. Well, number one, I want to start from the topic or from the word we're examining today, indiscipline. Indiscipline in itself is like a pregnancy.
How? How do you mean?
Yes, and it has been what has given birth to all vices in schools. Because by the time we mention indiscipline, which means there is no discipline. Discipline is simple terms, means stay here, I stay there. Do this, I do it. But by the time we deviate from those norms, then we begin to see a lot of vices. Then to now come down to, by the grace of God, for our corps has been able to stem low the issue of cultism and some other vices in school. Number one, I always want to relate. I always love to change the terms when it comes to when we are addressing the word cultism. I always want to take it from the angle of violent protest. And the last time I was on discussion, I mentioned something. That when we are fighting cultism, look at it for example, sir. If we have somebody now that has made a lion as a pet, and the lion is not harming anybody, it's just moving on the street, hardly will you find somebody calling a police officer to come and arrest the man when he's strolling in the evening with his pet lion, who doesn't harm anybody and is just swinging his tail. When you have a ram or a goat that has gone mad and is biting, doing a lot of things on the street, within a very short time, there's going to be a signal to the police force and the man will be arrested with his uncontrolled goat. Now, let me now make it open. You see, cultism has infiltrated much into the society. By the time we have been to different states, and if we are not being very careful, we wouldn't have gotten the penetration we had. We have been to Lagos, Oyo State, to Enugu State, and different parts of the state in the country. Now, coming down to the word we use, violent protest, it gives us a lot of access. It gives us a lot of opening doors. And what we are talking about indirectly is prevention of cultism. Now, let me now tell us how, by the grace of God, we have been able to stem things down. We use what we call...
How have you been able to
Yes,
step?
yes, yes. That's where I'm coming to now. We use what we call visual metaphor display. You see, in Nigeria today, I want to say this, and that's why we always thank our scholars, because they do a lot of research. When something has lost and we're looking for it, that is searching. When we have searched out something, we got it, then research come in. Research means, is there any other method whereby we can easily get this thing which we are looking for? We have done a lot of research, and we have placed it on the table for so long that each state of the federation should try and buy into it. Now, people are mentioning the area of discipline, you discipline students, you return this to school, and I've been saying it, that one will not work now.
So what is going to work?
Now, it's going to work.
What is it?
This is how it's going to work. Okay. It cannot work now. I'm not saying it's not going to
work.
Why? This is the reason. We are dealing with two types of wounds now. We have internal wound and external wound. When students can be so bold to stone a police officer, we are not looking at it from that angle of just stoning. Something is wrong within the heart of that child. Morally, there is a decadence. Something has gone wrong. And such a student needs to be reorientated. And that is where it comes in what we call visual metaphor display. And this thing, we have used it to penetrate the heart of a lot of students. By the time we put that, and that's reorientation, that's education, that's bringing back the value to school. But there's a way to go by it. And that is, by the time we use that, and that's going to call what we always call divide and conquer. When that is in operation, then we cannot talk about returning these other measures into school. And I want to even use this medium to even thank that DPO. If he has given order, if a student has been killed or shot at on that day, maybe there have been another revival of end police and some other thing. And this is our position. That be it as it is now, we have been saying this for almost 10 years. When the PS of it was stoned, when a lot is happening, we've been seeing it. That this thing is going to bring out a lot of things. And that is where we find ourselves today.
Thank you very much. We will continue from where we have just found ourselves. Prof, I want us to have an insight into the issues of policies, government policies. How has it helped us? When we look back, in those days, there are programs that were developed that guides behavior, academic excellence, and motivational areas in schools. What is happening now?
Okay. Our value system has become corrupted. Basically, that's what is happening. This issue of cultism, if I may start from there, is actually gangsterism being used as a coping strategy for the stresses those children are going through. What are these stresses? Poverty, the kind of unregulated environment to which unregulated information that they are getting. All these movies and decadent programs that arrive on the internet. And the poor child can see the rich child. Okay, it can motivate him to work hard to also become rich in future. Or it can also give rise to hatred. If contemporaries are playing football, for instance, half of the students have soccer boots, and he doesn't have a soccer boot. I mean, it's going to lead to resentment. It's not that I cannot play football, but he has no resources to back it up. So all these issues are interwoven. But what I will say in terms of government policy is this. For example, a state government says there shall be free education in my state. Okay, fine. Good objective. But is it backed up with the resources? The children stop buying books. And with the children not having textbooks, how is the teacher going to cope teaching all those students? the school must not charge parents for development levy. So how will the school get resources to provide facilities for those children? It all boils down to bad planning, really. Like I mentioned earlier, is there a strategic, which state in Nigeria has a strategic plan for education at any level, local, state, or federal? Do we know our major objectives educationally as a country, or as a state, or as a local government? If we don't have if we don't plan and have goals, then we'll just be fooling ourselves, and the situation will be getting worse and worse. Today's world is highly competitive. Highly competitive. Whether we like it or not, our own children, they are going to live in the same world with the Chinese, with the American children, and at the rate those children in those countries are being equipped, I hope there will not be enslavement. Technology-wise, everything-wise. So it is in our own interest as a people to plan strategically and pour resources into education. This is a knowledge economy. So it has to start from somewhere. And the best way, as far as I'm concerned, is good planning. What are our objectives? What resources do we need to meet those objectives? What do we need to do for our children to get the best out of them? Because they are the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Prof, I can't thank you enough. Femi.
Yes, please.
Yeah, the ball is now in your court. What are the public relations visionary steps that we should engender to enhance better student-teacher relationship, government-school authority relationship, societal, and all these areas? How do we now engender a cohesive relationship that can give us a better future?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, I agree that there is a need for us to build cohesion. I also believe that there is a need to build harmony within the educational institutions. But we cannot do that until we have got somebody who will use the public relations approach or the public relations model or public relations strategy to addressing the issues that we have on ground. The problem of indiscipline in schools. Once there is a situation analysis, the point is that we need to go back to the drawing board, analyze the situation thoroughly. Where are the trouble spots? To what level can we blame parents? To what level can we blame the students or the children? To what level can we blame teachers themselves? Say, for instance, look at the issue of, for a child to be bold enough to stand up and face a teacher and then become so determined to now slapping or beating the teacher. We also need to look at it. What has the teacher done? Take, for instance, a teacher that beats a girl. Is it because, for instance, the teacher has been going around trying to woo the girl into some relationship, which the girl now rejects or protests against, and then you now look for every means to come and beat up the girl? There is a tendency for the girl to become a little bit indisciplined there. And then if we now look at that,
but
we cannot free the teachers. I'm saying there's a need to touchlight.
Can the student report that incidence?
Now, this is what I'm saying. There's a level to which some of us can react to issues. Okay? The girl, for instance, may not even be able to, may not feel strong enough to report. But I'm happy that most of the tertiary institutions nowadays are already bringing about some measure of discipline in their institutions. You hear of many professors, many of the lecturers being dismissed. In fact, no tertiary institution wants that to happen now. Even where teachers, or the lecturers even sell handouts and compel that students must buy, because that could engender some kind of protest from the students. So I'm saying that using public relations approach, there's a need to analyze all that. To what extent can we blame the teachers? Then we now go on from there. To what extent can we blame the managers in the schools who are not really teaching but the administrators that come up with this, the principles or the policies that govern the various schools? Then we also now look at the government. Are there appropriate policies in place? Are government programs enough to engender harmony and good learning environment? Beyond that, we also need to look at the society at large. What are the children seeing? Just like Prof said, what kind of video are they watching on their various telephones and all that? All these are that's the first stage to go. Then once you can analyze or place those areas that you have challenges, we now look at how best do we address them. That is the approach, that's the public relations approach to the issue at stake.
Thank you very much. Yeah, let's go security wise. You are in charge of ensuring that there's adequate security, protection, and prevention of whatever vices in schools. What will you suggest to government, to schools, and to the families that you should come up with in a way to help them identify areas of problems? 2, areas where government and schools can mitigate issues of indiscipline among students.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm very happy because ordinarily this is our own area of specialization.
I want you to be practical.
Okay.
Specific.
Yes. We are much more into preventive measures. And then we have itemized a lot of ways of how it can be done.
1.
Number 1 is what I've mentioned the other time. There must be a sort of reorientation that we tag visual metaphor display. In that regard, we've been to more than 500 schools. It might be a little bit complex, but it's not too complex. The people in that area, we need to learn a better advanced way of approaching the student as far as these vices is concerned. That's number 1.
Okay.
Number 2.
That is encouraging teacher-student relationship.
No. That's not it, sir.
So what is it?
What I mean by visual metaphor display is that, you see, when we are talking to students, there's a level that we need to go to so that they can easily comprehend what we are saying. And in that regard, we prepare, it's a long something. We prepare food when we are talking to them. We use watermelon, we use different things that they can easily see. And at the end of the day, we assess questionnaire. From that questionnaire is where we now get a lot of facts. Students, whereby a female student that the father is having carnal knowledge of. A student whereby the father is an armed robber. A student whereby he has nobody and is smoking M and is even mixing the M with the food. That's the first aspect of it. Whereby he said the presentation of visual metaphor display. It's a way of reorientation, but it's in a different area. That's 1.
Technology-wise, what will you suggest?
Well, technology-wise, that one goes a long way. Because when we are talking about the advancement of technology now, it cannot be monitored. The student cannot be monitored, and even the parent cannot monitor the student.
Why?
Yes, there's an easier access to phone. It is this. We have a lot of programs on here now, on different stations, that by the time you listen to, you will now be asking yourself that are these people, do they really know the implication to the effect of what they are relaying on here, and it goes a long way. When a father and a mother, they are trying to train their child in a better way, and the child is easily exposed to all these news and some other things, now it goes a long way.
So what will you suggest?
What I'm going to suggest is this kind of program should be much more frequent. And then part of the suggestion is to now go to the parents. The parent needs a lot, a lot is in their hands to do. All hands must be on deck, and even now, we must even run. Because according to what the speaker said at that time, he said as far as insecurity is concerned, that the Nigerian house is on fire. And one way or the other, this fire is igniting from one stage to the other, and from one state to the other. So in that's technology. Now let me talk about the teachers now, how their own involvement can really work as far as this preventive measure is concerned.
Briefly.
Sir?
Briefly.
Okay, now look at the VPs now, who are moving from the level of their VP to principals. They need to be, a lot of lessons need to be passed to them now. By the time they become the principal of a school, and you know everything rises and falls on leadership, if they don't know what is crime, how to manage a critical situation, it can lead to a lot of things. So that's for the VP. It's another lecture, it's another lesson, it's another field entirely.
I think on that line, I would like to contribute to that line, but I think it's very important. We need the regular teacher evaluation, annual teacher evaluation, and teachers should be assessed, schools should be assessed, and it should have an impact on the advancement, career advancement of the teachers or the officers of the school. Right now, I'm not sure we have a regular teacher evaluation, and the teachers that are performing well should be recognized and awarded prizes. Not just teachers, at the level of teachers, at the level of schools, and so on. Every year they take external exams, WAEC and all those. The schools that perform well, they need to be identified and praised and let them serve as role model for the others. At the institutional level, at the individual level, if a teacher is teaching physics and the students are doing very well, that kind of teacher has to be encouraged so that they can face the issue, whether we like it or not. The progress of these children are in the hands of those teachers for the duration of the time they are in the school. So we need to support them. I do agree.
So just if you allow me to, as a follow-up to Prof, this evaluation thing and encouraging those who are doing well, I think there's also the need to evaluate schools where you have high level of discipline and there is harmony and there is progress, development is high, and reward such institutions, reward such principles. When that happens, I'm sure others will also find a way to become alive to their responsibilities to ensure that no level of crime, no level of indiscipline is recorded in their institution so that they can also have such rewards. I think it's a good public relations approach too to addressing the issues.
Thank you very much, Femi. An upbringing of a child is a collective work.
Responsibility. Yeah.
Responsibility for all of us, government, individuals, schools, the society. It's on that note that we're going to end this chat. And I'm really glad that my prof has proved me right again. We will continue to tap from your wealth of experience.
Thanks for having me.
Never mind that we'll be bothering you, sir.
No, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. Reverse, you can see that our prof is always available for us. Femi Dokumu, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
As a PR professional, we'll be needing you at this program. Thank you so much for being here with us.
I'll make myself available to the best of my ability.
Ige Folayinka, Commandant, please ensure there's more surveillance, more ingenuity on security issues to our schools, to government, and to the society. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, sir.
Viewers, it's been a wonderful discussion we are having today. Until next week, when we come up with another topic, stay blessed.